What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. And today for this video, I'll be doing my last top 10 video, and for this video, I'll be doing my top 10 most underrated Star Wars characters. I did top 10 best characters, I did top 10 worst characters, I did top 10 overrated characters. And now I'm going to close out the top 10 list by doing my top 10 most underrated characters. As you know, I would do numbers 10 to 2, go over my honorable mentions, and then go over my number 1. So let's get into it. So coming in at number 10, I have Orson Krennic. Now, Krennic was one of the people who oversaw the Death Star construction on the side with Jyn Erso and Grand Moff Tarkin. But honestly, I think people don't give enough credit that he deserves. I actually think Krennic is a good character. Now, he could have been portrayed maybe a little better by not having having them yell on occasion. But generally speaking, I mean, he was under a lot of stress in constructing the Death Star, and honestly, I think people just don't give him enough credit that he deserves. Coming in at number 9, I have Jango Fett. Now, also same thing with Krennic, Jango Fett gets severely overshadowed in Attack of the Clones. Because, honestly speaking, whenever people talk about Attack of the Clones, they pretty much talk about how bad the love stuff is between Anakin and Padme. But really, without Jango Fett, not only would Boba Fett not exist, but the entire clone army would not exist. So without Jango Fett, we wouldn't have characters like Captain Rex, Fives, Echo, Commander Cody, and all these other amazing clones in the Clone Wars. So, like I said, Jango Fett gets severely overshadowed in Attack of the Clones. At number 8, I have Cad Bane. Now, people always say, how Boba Fett's the greatest bounty hunter of all time. I completely disagree with that. I think Cad Bane is significantly better than Boba Fett. Because not only did Cad Bane hold a Senate hostage in an episode, but he also managed to break into the Jedi Temple, steal a holocron, and get away with it. Granted, he did have help with that shapeshifter, and he also had the droid character, but it's still an amazing feat for someone to break into the Jedi Temple and steal a holocron and get away with it. And not only that, he also managed to get Anakin Skywalker to open a holocron, and he also stole a couple Force-sensitive children. Boba Fett never did any of that stuff in the movies. He might have done some of that stuff in all the expanded universe books, but when it comes to the actual Star Wars canon, Cad Bane is significantly better than Boba Fett. Now coming to number 7, I have Plo Koon. Now if I was doing this list based on the movies, Plo Koon wouldn't even be on this list, and quite frankly, I probably wouldn't even know who he is. However, when it comes to the Clone Wars TV show, Plo Koon is honestly a pretty cool character. He was also the Jedi that found Ahsoka and brought her to the Jedi Temple, and that's why they have such a close relationship. And not only and like I said, Plo Koon is also Dave Filoni's favorite Jedi, so that's why you saw him a lot in the Clone Wars. You saw him frequently, and he also helped Anakin track down Ahsoka when she was falsely accused of her killing Letta and bombing the Jedi Temple. So now coming at number 6 is actually the first Star Wars Rebels character in any list, but at number 6 I have Kanan Jarrus. Now when it comes to Kanan really should have been the main character of Rebels, and I think it was a severe missed opportunity and mistake that he wasn't. So not only did Kanan survive Order 66, but he also had to overcome, like trusting Rex. He had to overcome becoming blind, and he also taught Ezra, who was not exactly the best student. So like I said, even though Ezra was main character, Kanan really should have been main character. And even though people say Star Wars characters not as good as the Clone Wars, and I agree, Rebels is not as good as the Clone Wars. But Kanan's one of the few exceptions that make Star Wars Rebels, make Star Wars Rebels watchable, and I think he does get overshadowed. Now coming in at number 5, I have Fives. Now the deal with Fives is that if people watch the Clone Wars, people know exactly who he is. But for those who don't watch the Clone Wars, they don't understand how significant he is. So not only did he put up with General Krell and stop his own execution in the Umbara arc, but more importantly, he discovered Order 66 in Season 6 of the Clone Wars. And quite frankly, Palpatine was honestly fearful of Five because since Five knew what was going on, he could literally tell everyone. Now granted, they probably wouldn't believe him, but Palpatine was still fearful that if someone did, it would get everywhere. So because of that, Fives comes in at number 5, and man, like I said, it's because of people who haven't watched the Clone Wars that don't know who he is that's on this list, and really how significant he is to really all of Star Wars, because if Anakin and Rex would have believed him, he would have saved the Jedi Order and possibly the entire galaxy as well. So coming at number 4, I have Count Dooku. Now, Count Dooku, just like Ahsoka Tano, had a legitimate reason for leaving the Jedi Order. He was I would classify as like an old school Jedi, and quite frankly, when the Jedi were getting more political, like they were kind of banning the Jedi ways, Count Dooku left for that reason. And quite frankly, even though he wasn't that well written in the Attack of the Clones, I thought he was a good character in the Clone Wars. He was not well written character in Attack of the Clones, but he was a good character in the Clone Wars TV show. And quite frankly, people always say, I mean, people always give the prequel villains, they're not that portrayed well, and I can agree with that with the movies. But Count Dooku also led the Confederacy to war, and quite frankly, if it wasn't for Count Dooku, I probably think the Separatists wouldn't have lasted that long, other than Darth Sidious controlling everything. So coming in number three, I have Tarkin. Now, people also, well, seriously, Tarkin was only in one movie, and granted, that's why people overlook him a lot. Quite frankly, Tarkin is honestly one of the most important characters in all of Star Wars, and quite frankly, and definitely one of the most important in all of the Empire. During the Clone Wars, he also is broken out of the Citadel, but really his main shine in the Clone Wars was prosecuting Ahsoka and wanting her put to death for false for being accused as bombing the Jedi Temple and killing the person who was thought to be responsible at first. Star Wars Rebels, I mean, I don't remember him that much in Star Wars Rebels. He and the Inquisitor managed to catch Kanan, and other than that, he didn't really do much. Now, Rogue One and A New Hope is where Tarkin really shines. Tarkin was the main person behind the construction of the Death Star. And really, what made Tarkin so intimidating was that he never yelled. That's why people can't take Hux too seriously. That Hux pretty much yelled a lot of the time. Tarkin never yelled. Like Tarkin, he did get in your face, and he would raise your voice. Like there's nothing wrong with. There's a difference between raising your voice and yelling. There's a big difference between the two. Tarkin mainly raised his voice a lot. And the thing is, if Tarkin served under Kylo, Tarkin would not put up with Kylo, and he would probably find a way to have Kylo executed. So Tarkin gets severely overshadowed, and he comes in number three. And number two, I have Bail Organa. Now, Bail Organa is I consider to be while Bail Organa may not be the best character exactly, that doesn't and that by no means he's not an important character, because Bail Organa not only looked after Leia, who was obviously the daughter of Darth Vader, he also knew that where Obi-Wan and Yoda truly were, and he was one of the few, if not the only person other than them to know that they were alive and where they were. And in the Rebels, he lied to Captain Rex, saying that Obi-Wan and Yoda were dead. It's over. But like I said, he was also like one of the main people to be behind the rebellion. And quite frankly, I don't think people severely underrate Bail Organa. And like I said, he may not be the best written character, but in terms of Star Wars as a whole, he's so important to it. So now before I get to my number one, here are some honorable mentions. My first honorable mention I have is Asajj Ventress. Now, in the Clone Wars, Asajj Ventress went from being a generic bad guy assassin to being honestly complex and tragic villain. Like in season 3, when she was betrayed by Dooku and she went to the Night Sisters, and we saw her past, and we can see like she didn't have that good of a past. Like she was taken away from her home, like she was abandoned. A Jedi Master found her. He began to train her. He was ultimately killed, and she ultimately fell to the dark side and became Dooku's assassin. And like I said, she really has a bad life, and quite frankly, I like where she went in seasons 3, 4, and 5 in the Clone Wars, and I don't think people give her enough credit. My second honorable mention is Echo from the Clone Wars as well. Now, if it comes to just seasons 1 and 3, I wouldn't really put him on this list. However, season 7, when Echo was brought back into the show, he actually didn't die at the Citadel. And quite frankly, the Republic wouldn't have been able to win the Battle of Anaxes without him, because not only was he actually the Separatist, strategy, like they got the algorithms from Echo. After the Republic got him back, he managed to lead the Republic to victory on Anaxes. So Echo is my second honorable mention. Now my third honorable mention may be somewhat controversial, but I'll explain why. My third honorable mention is BB-8. Now BB-8 is mainly on this list because of actually The Last Jedi. Because obviously he went to Canto Bight with Finn and Rose to help get the Master Codebreaker and all that stuff. But when Finn and Rose got locked up, BB-8 was BB-8 let them out of prison. Like he distracted the guards and he let Finn and Rose escape. And also when Finn and Rose were on a Snoke Star Destroyer and it was about to blow up and he was in the hangar, BB-8 pretty much just saved them from Phasma and all these other stormtroopers, and he got them out. And he got them to a shuttle and got them away. So that's why BB-8's my third honorable mention. Now, my last honorable mention is actually a special request from my own mother. She wanted to have some input in this. So, Mom, this special honorable mention is for you. But my last mention is the Tusken Raiders, or or otherwise known as the Sand People. The reason that obviously because now my mother as an honorable mention, my mother was scared to death of them when she saw A New Hope in theaters back in 1977 when she was a kid. And quite frankly, like I'll agree. Like if I was, little and I saw The New Hope, they probably would have scared me too. So that's why. So Sand People are a special honorable mention, and they're specifically for my mother. Now, coming at number 1 as the most underrated Star Wars character, I actually have Jyn Erso. Now, Jyn Erso was one of the few characters Rogue One that got sort of developed, that got any, significant development. Like, we saw her backstory, we saw her parents, like, leave her, like, we saw her, like, we saw her mother get killed, like, her father went to work on the Death Star, and, like, she was on her own for a while. And, like I said, she led the rebellion to Scarab, she and Cassian helped get the Death Star plans, and really, if it wasn't for her and her, Jyn Erso's leadership, and, her getting the Death Star plans, people, like, rebellion wouldn't be able to destroy the Death Star, so like I said before, Rogue One is also the most underrated movie in all of Star Wars. So Jyn Erso is a severely underrated character and a severely underrated Star Wars movie. Well, guys, that's gonna be it for this top 10 video, the final one so far, and I hope you have a good day. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.